Housing Authority, public comments on scheduled matters only. Are there any requests to speak?
No request to speak.
Okay. City Council Successor Agency Housing Authority, AB 1234, general comments. Why don't we start with Councilman Grandis for your comments?
All right. First off, before I get into my comments, I want to thank Alan Burns for coming here. I first met Alan Burns when I was 15 years old at Fountain Valley High School in the Key Club, and he was our sponsor in the Kiwanis Club. That was in 1981. Yeah, so I've known Mr. Burns here for 40-something years. My favorite story ever with him, though, is most of you know I have a young son with autism, and when he was little, he was a handful. And we did a bowling event over at Fountain Bowl for every year. They did it with the Plavin kids and take them bowling, kids with disabilities. And Mr. Burns here was responsible for my Alex. And we were at one of the very end lanes, and all I see is Alex run across the front of all the lanes with Alan Burns and running after him, interrupting all the bowls. So, not a good babysitter. So I just want to, it's great to see you here. We've, like I said, through the decades, it's been great. And the amount you give back to the Fountain Valley community as a Kiwanis member needs to be recognized. So thanks for being here.
Friends with your dad?
That's right. Yeah, I served with, my dad was vice president of the club when he was a member back in 84, 85, somewhere in there. Anyway, all right, so I just wanted to recognize. So Thursday, January 2nd, the Fountain Valley Kiwanis meeting, and then that night, the UCI Hospital board meeting. UCI Hospital is in Fountain Valley is really making some great strides in patient care, in reviews from patients. I'm going to try and do a better report after our my next board meeting with them to share some of the just great news that's coming out of UCI Health Fountain Valley, the former Fountain Valley Regional Hospital. So especially as a stroke center, they have the best equipment. If you're going to have I hope you don't have it, but if you do, go to UCI Health Fountain Valley. On Monday, January 26th, I talked about the OCPA board meeting already. Tuesday, January 27th, I attended the Huntington Valley Boys and Girls Club annual meeting with my beautiful wife, Mary. And I want to congratulate Lynn Sameta as our new president for the upcoming year. She's going to do a tremendous job. It's just amazing what a great job the Boys and Girls Club does. You know, we talk about raising millions of dollars for them, but most of that is used for scholarships. You know, for those that can't afford to have their child looked after, that's what the Boys and Girls Club helps with, and that's what a lot of the fundraising does. On Wednesday, January 28th, the OC SAN steering meeting and board meeting. This is not going to be pleasant. So when I mentioned that I was on the OC steering committee, OC SAN, and I asked to be reappointed, I was not. You know, we decided to go in a different direction. And one of the concerns I had was that being on the steering committee, we have a seat at the table. Well, Fountain Valley no longer has a seat at the table. Anaheim has replaced Fountain Valley in that seat. And I also mentioned there was an ongoing issue where we were looking for funding from OC SAN for a building that they were purchasing in Fountain Valley and converting from a commercial space where we would earn property tax and sales tax. So we went to them. I had consensus at 2 different meetings that we had there that they would take care of Fountain Valley. That was the commitment of the board. They would do the right thing. Now that we no longer have a seat there, that changed, just as I anticipated it might. And our city manager, Maggie Lee, myself, Omar, and Councilmember Bowie attended the steering committee meeting. Maggie even took the extra steps of writing out a script that we could read, because Now that we don't have a seat at the table, just like you fill out a blue card, we get 3 minutes to speak, and that's all we get. So Maggie went up there and she did a really good job kind of emphasizing what was needed. The script started with Councilmember Bowie to kick it off, and Maggie provided him that script at the filming that we did earlier in the day at the baseball field. And when I sat next to Councilmember Bowie to say, hey, you're going to kick us off, he said no, he would not speak. So we went up there and we did the best that we could. Now, I will say that OC Sand is not required to pay the fee. There is precedence. So the OC Sand in the past, when they put in their building with that bridge that goes across Ellis, I know Cheryl and Steve Nagel worked really hard on that. They provided us a $2.3 million payment that they didn't have to, but they did because it was the right thing to do, and that was negotiated. Also, the city of Newport Beach purchased land in the city of Fountain Valley recently and is putting in a well. They have no requirement to pay any fee to us whatsoever, but they did. They did because it's the right thing to do. There's also the water district of Laguna Niguel, Newport, Laguna, whatever it is, I forget, that also put in a well in the city and paid a fee to the city. They did not have to. So the steering committee then at that meeting, they debated a bit and decided not to provide any funding to the city of Fountain Valley. Now, the steering committee is advisory to the general board. What was really disappointing to me was there were a couple of things that were said in that steering committee meeting that I've already given my 3 minutes. I went first. I couldn't counter because, again, we don't have a seat at the table. So then after the meeting, Maggie and Omar, myself, and Ted met up to talk about, okay, we still have a chance at the general meeting. You know, again, the consensus that they voted on, and it's public record, was that they would look into helping Fountain Valley on this. I lobbied with a couple of the people to try to say, hey, can you help us out here? Newport Beach was like, I gotcha. It was a consent item. Newport Beach pulled it so that we could at least debate it. Maggie and Omar didn't stay for that because between the meetings, Councilmember Bowie let us know that he didn't support Fountain Valley receiving the money, that it was not something that was an obligation, and we tried explaining, we understand it's not a legal reason. So I decided to stay and fight for the city, and I gave my 3 minutes of, you know, hey guys, you already committed to doing this. This is something we understand you don't have to do. And by the way, the funding that we were requesting was $1.5 million. So this is not an insignificant amount, and it's worth fighting for. We then went to the general mission. I gave my 3 minutes. I did the best I could. That's all we had. Again, I don't have a seat at the table, so that's all I can say. Councilmember Bowie then decided that he would speak at that meeting and basically campaigned against the city of Fountain Valley and said we did not deserve the $1.5 million, that legally it's not right, even though we explained to him we understand there's no legal obligation, and campaigned. And once that happened, everybody looked like, even the people that had support, like your own city's not even going to support this, and unanimously rejected our bid. So we lost out on the potential of up to $1.5 million. So even though I'm not on OC Sand anymore, I was still there hoping to fight along with city staff, and, you know, it's unfortunate. On Thursday, January 29th, I met with Congressman Tran at Fire Station Number 1 in Fountain Valley, and we have really exciting news. I don't know, City Manager, do you want to make that announcement?
Sure. Thank you, Councilmember Granis. It is with a lot of collaboration and support of City Council and also our late Fire Chief Bill McQuaid, in addition to our current Fire Chief and Fire Department. Congressman Derek Tran has been successful in securing $2 million for the city of Fountain Valley for our future Fire Station 1. And and it will be on the desk for the president to sign. So there's a press release that has gone out, but this is a collaborative effort from the leadership on the dais, the leadership in our fire department, the support of staff who work with Townsend, our consultant for grant writing, to get us to the finish line. So we really appreciate the support from Congressman Tran and the support of the City Council and the support of our team to get us to the finish line.
Yeah, I think that was great news. I was very pleased to meet with the congressman in Fountain Valley. This has been going on for a number of years. You might remember back in I think it was 3 years ago, that I met with, at that time, Congresswoman Michelle Steele, along with the fire chief. I did pay my own way to go to DC on that. I did not charge that to the city. So that's been going on. We tried to get $5 million, but with Doge and what happened with all that $5 million, all of the appropriations were rejected, so we had to start over, and we ended up with $2 million. That's better than nothing. Also that day, we did the board interviews for commissions, Monday, February 2nd. I attended that was yesterday, the Fountain Valley Schools Foundation board meeting. And then last night, we had our Fountain Valley Community Foundation poker planning meeting. We had 24 people over at our house last night, where we had all of the chair people of the different areas of the poker tournament attend. And that's going to be April 18th, so mark it on your calendars now. April 18th for the poker tournament, and then we'll have another follow-up party with all the volunteers, but that's for another day, and that's my report.
Thank you, Councilman Grandis. Councilman Bowie, would you please go next?
Thank you, Mayor. Well, first of all, I want to talk about OCPA's, OC-SAN, since I talk about OC-SAN. So I just want to report that I've been appointed on the audit ad hoc committee on OC-SAN as well. I've just been confirmed that I'm also being appointed on the administration committee. Now, last week there was an item, and the city requests, that OC-SAN make OC-SAN whole for providing the city with one-time compensation of $1.5 million. That is correct. But what is incorrect is it has nothing to do with having a seat at the steering committee to receive that money. Yes, we have a voice, but the decisions has been made already before the steering committee took place by staff recommendations, which is the general counsel of OC-SAN. Now, to the point that it was mentioned that we receive funding in the past, precedent cases, because there was impact. There was an impact from our city that was created by OC-SAN. That's why they gave us the money. In this particular instance, there's no impact, and I spent a lengthy time speak with the city attorney, and there's no legal authority for OC-SAN, like you said earlier, to compensate the city. But the basis that we were presented to them was because of lost property tax or sales tax when a tax-exempt single purpose. Under that basis, they could not pay out. That's plain and simple. Okay? Do I want to go into any more details? If you want to come and sit with me and talk and ask questions, I'd be more happy to. I'd be more happy to bring the people from OC-SAN. They'll tell you straight as it is. Okay? So being on the seat, they already made the decisions. Now, I want to report.
I'm sorry, I just want to clarify that. They made the decision before the vote?
Yes, it was staff.
Nothing is decided
It says
until
staff recommend.
Yes, staff.
Staff
you're right,
recommend.
Staff recommended, but staff.
That's right.
Of
And
course will staff.
That recommend, so most
A decision was not made in advance. Decisions are made.
staff
when they're
recommend,
voted on.
and people will rely on the OC-SAN attorney on their recommendations. So now a reference to at the last meeting, which is what is it, January 20th? So obviously, I was supposed to catch a flight, but when I got there, they won't let me board the plane because the cutoff time. So it was, I know, it's not your fault. So I took the earliest plane. So when I got there, it was actually late Wednesday. So I missed that day. So the earliest morning, I got to meet with Congressman Dave Min in the 47th district, because as you know, any money coming from the state, it's going to require everyone, support. So I went to meet Congressman Min, and we had a great discussions. In the late afternoon, we visit Congressman Derek Tran. And I have to say that unfortunately he was under the weather, but I met with his staff, Ms. Dao Nguyen, which is Chief of Staff. We had a great conversations, reference any possibility aid from the congressman. And I'm happy to report that, first of all, I want to thank Congressman Derek Tran for his leadership and continuing support for Fountain Valley. And I'm happy to report we request for the city of Fountain Valley $2 million for the new fire station, and it was signed today into law. Okay, to our staff, the Congressman Tran amazing team will be in touch regarding the next step to celebrate this success. As always, we appreciate the partnerships with the congressman, and we look forward to continue to collaborate further. As you know, last year, we did not get the money because of the change administration. There's a lot of challenges, but that's the first thing I did is I met with Congressman last year, and I spoke with him, would he support of our funding for our fire stations? And he said yes. And at the end of the year, I was supposed to travel there, but there was a shutdown. So I did not go. So I'm hearing that they were going to shut down the end of this month, this January. So I was told there's an opportunity. You might want to meet with them now. So that's what I did. We went over there. Unfortunately, we didn't get the 2.5, but at least we got the 2 million. And moving forward, they are open to that continuous support and collaboration as well. So that's reference to Congressman Derek Tran. Afterward, I want to also visit U.S. Senator Adam Schiff. And once again, great conversations. What he is trying to introduce moving forward is actually a bill for construction infrastructure. Because right now there isn't really one. So all the money right now goes to HUD, and we have to go through this process. But having a bill that's reference to infrastructure grant, that will leave a lot of opportunity for the city to ask for construction grant. So he's working on that, and they will let us know if that's going to materialize through the passage. So I'm looking forward to that. Unfortunately, as you know, there's a storm was coming. I was supposed to stay until Saturday morning, but unfortunately, the entire trip has to cut short. I didn't want to get stranded over there. So in the morning of Friday, I was only able to visit the U.S. Forestry. And you're probably wondering, why am I going over there, right? Because as you know, the last fire, it affects a lot of California. And apparently I went there because there's a section of Irvine was affected by the fire that came from Riverside. And I was there to listen how the county was negotiate the money for the Orange County. So it was very interesting to see that process. So that is conclude from my report in DC with the office I visit. I'll go ahead and submit the rest of my report to the city clerk.
Thank you, Councilman Bowie. Councilman
applicants that we did for the city commissions, committees, and boards. We had a lot of great choices. And our city clerk, Rick, is going to open it up again for Measure HH committee. They're seeking a business owner, right, Rick? Not just a business
member.
Business member, okay. And I'll put that out too. And then Housing and Community Development Committee. So still have a couple more open. And thank you, everyone. I already submitted my report.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Harper.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank all the speakers that came out tonight. Appreciate all the feedback from the public, so thanks for coming out. On January 26th, I attended the OCTA board meeting. January 28th, the State of the City filming at the baseball fields, so we've got some nice video we're working on for the State of the City. January 29th, interviews for commissions and committees. January 30th, I got to go to a government affairs meeting at Disney with organized by Assembly Member Philip Chen, and we heard from people that work at Disneyland. And one thing I didn't know, or maybe I did know but didn't realize, Disney is the largest employer in Orange County with 36,000 employees. That's more than half the population of Fountain Valley. It's quite a big place. And so we benefit all the cities in Orange County, and there were about 20 elected officials from different cities. We all benefit from what goes on at Disney, and so it's really an informative meeting. Also later that day, January 30th, the CalCog board meeting. February 2nd, the OCTA Regional Transportation Planning Committee meeting. That was yesterday. And it's interesting, the hot topic in regional transportation planning is e-bikes. E-bikes are, you see them out everywhere. They're becoming more and more common. It's interesting, they said when they started counting bikes, they count every year. In 2020, about 1% of the bikes were e-bikes. 2025, of the bikes they counted, 30% were e-bikes. You don't realize that. My kids have an e-bike, but I don't have one. But they said 30% of the bikes out there are now e-bikes. And then also want to thank Councilmember Bowie for going to DC. I know it's a lot of time and a long trip, but appreciate your efforts. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Harper. My activities since our last meeting included the following. On January 21st, I attended the Public Cable Television Authority, or PCTA, meeting at Stanton City Hall. On January 22nd, Councilman Constantine attended the Library Advisory Board for the county. And I just wanted to read a couple notes because there's some interesting things happening or coming up in Fountain Valley. So the design is being marked out this year along with Seal Beach and Laguna Hills. This is improving our library here in Fountain Valley. Next year, 2027, the library will be closed for a whopping, as she says, 18 to 24 months. The entire library will close to include Friends of the Library. The Friends of the Library will have a massive book, etc. sale before the closure. Some materials may need to be stored at library headquarters in Santa Ana. And then lastly, the Friends of the Library will need to pay for updated sheltering, etc. And these were actually responses from Orange County librarian Julie Quilinian or something.
Quillman, yes.
Okay, gotcha. So thanks for that update.
Sure, of course.
On January 23rd, I attended the OCTA groundbreaking for the expansion of I-5 in Irvine and Tustin. This was on invitation from the Citizens Advisory Committee, which I chair. I'm an appointee from Director Harper there. The overall $716 million project will improve the freeway between State Route 55 on the northwest to Interstate 405 on the southeast. Segment 1 should be completed by 2029 and Segment 2 by early 2030. And they gave us kind of a nice program with a lapel pin, and I thought it would be nice to give that to you, Vice Mayor Harper, Director Harper, if you didn't have one, but this is for you.
Thank you.
Okay. On January 26th, I attended the Sister City Advisory Committee meeting here at City Hall. Our next Bi-monthly meeting is Monday, March 23rd. One major advancement was the expansion to 4 possible sister city candidates that are being explored, so that's exciting. On January 29th, they presented a certificate of recognition to Pho Ha Noi to commemorate the grand opening of the restaurant together with Councilman Bowie and Councilmember Grandis and Councilman Constantine. It was a great launch for that restaurant. We were treated to many of their delicious menu items, which definitely represent our second base Foodie Valley theme for this year. So we wish them the very best. Later that night, I participated in the candidate interviews for our sister cities Measure H Committee, Community Foundation, Housing Community Development Boards, and Planning Commission. Thank you to my colleagues and all the candidates and the members of the public who attended this open proceeding. And on January 31st, I attended a Tet Festival entitled Tet at Home, celebration at the Sapphire Center in Fountain Valley. Thank you to the Vietnamese American Chamber of Commerce and all the 15 sponsor businesses that participated in making this first Lunar New Year event a big success. And I just want to thank all my colleagues for all the work they do, for all of the activities throughout this past couple weeks. We appreciate the service. You all contribute in so many different ways that it's just amazing what we do as a council when you think about it. And that concludes my report. Okay, so we will be adjourning to our next meeting, February 17th, 2026, here in the chambers. And we'd like to adjourn in the memory of former Public Works Director Bill Alt. And that is it. We are adjourned. Thank you so much.